Well, I didn't do a evening wrap up yesterday, but I was hurting pretty bad. I had hurt my Achilles and things, so I'm not sure. But this may have been my last campsite for at least for a while. Anyway, I'm going to reevaluate. I've got a few miles to go before I get to the trailhead and see what's going on. I'll update everybody, yeah, including future Russ, about what's going on. Hey, a couple more miles to go. Sorry. Here we go. Until we get to the I-10, and where I'll try to get a ride. Anyway, I just looked back and saw where I've been. There's Mount San Jacinto. Behind that peak there, I came down. In fact, there's the power transmission lines right there that I was above, looking down on just yesterday. So I came down quite a ways. It's a long ways, but anyway, really windy here, and maybe that's why they have those wind farms around here. You can see, maybe you can see right there. The camera might not show it, but there's hundreds of windmills there, catching that wind, taking the energy. I'm going to get going. I'll update you and do my end of the day thing later so that you know what's going on. Okay, here we go. It's windy. I don't know if you can tell, but I've been blown off the trail even a couple times. There's my shadow, the hat flapping. Okay, enough excitement. Hey, it's future Russ here. Maybe you can tell by how long my hair's grown. Anyway, I thought it was time to finish the story of my PCT adventure and kind of give you some updates about what has happened, and because there's been a lot. First of all, I think we left off and I was walking across the desert towards the I-10 overpass where the PCT trailhead was at mile 209.5, I believe. At any rate, I made it through that windy section, and I was still hurting quite a bit. It was I was going slow, and I could tell that my Achilles were bothering me immensely. So I kind of was leaning towards probably having to get off trail, or I knew I had to heal anyway somehow. So I got to the underpass there and hung out for a while. And then I kind of hemmed and hawed, and I talked with a few other hikers that were there that kind of moved their way through. There was a cache of water there, and there was a board that I could sign as part of the class of 2025. So I put my name up there. I think it was next to Gummy Bears, which I had met earlier on the trail. She's an 11-year-old girl that was hiking the trail with her father and mother. And at any rate, so I was kind of weighing my options. There was several different possibilities. I could continue the hike, resupply in Cabazon or Palm Springs, which was both nearby, and then just kind of go along and see how things played out. I wasn't too keen on that because I thought I needed more healing than that would allow. Plus, I knew that the next section is a very difficult section. Because you're going through a place where the trail's washed out, and there's some places where, well, in fact, not long before I got there, there was a woman who had wandered off from one trail to another side trail and ended up getting stuck on a cliff face and had to call 911. You may have seen the video of that rescue. At any rate, I knew it was going to be challenging, and then the next town was to come out to was Big Bear, which would be about a week or so away. So that was one option, but the different things to think about there. Another option would be to find a hotel and maybe spend a week, put my feet up, and then get back on trail from there. Well, I was a little nervous about that because I knew that the most likely place I would try to do that was in Palm Springs. And for me, Palm Springs sounds like an expensive place, which I suppose it was. It also just so happened that there was a festival that was starting up that weekend, and everything was going to be booked, most likely. And a third option was to go ahead and go to Palm Springs. There's an airport there. Fly back to SeaTac and make my way back home. See my doctor, and then rest up at home. I figured it probably would be about the same amount of expense as if I had stayed in a motel. Plus, I'd be able to be waited on, so to speak, in my healing. And so that's the option I decided on. Oh, well, and the other thing is, thinking that I would be getting back on trail after healing, I knew that that was one of the more an easier place, I should say, to get back onto the trail because of the airport. Amtrak was right there too. It was fairly easy to do. So after consulting Linda, my wife here in Hadlock. Oh, I just gave it away. I'm here at my house in Hadlock. Anyway, after consulting with her and talking over the different options and things, she agreed, and she kind of arranged for some of the logistics. She called my friend Keith, who I've known since I was in my freshman year of college, and who lives in Seattle area, and he to be able to pick me up at the airport and drive me to the ferry terminal. So that the logistics seemed to play out. So I called an Uber, and I'd never done that before. Never ridden in an Uber. I guess it's anyway. So I got the Uber, and Vincent showed up. He was my Uber driver, and he started asking, of course, what's going on, and to take me to the Palm Springs airport. We had a little bit of a drive, so we chatted, and he was amazed at my story. He was to be able to be out in the wilderness for on the PCT for a month. He was. It was beyond his experiences, I think. At any rate, he got me to the airport and refused to tip. He said, your story is tip enough. So anyway, that was very kind. And if anybody is in that area and needs an Uber ride, if you get Vincent, that's great. So I got to the airport and started looking around. Well, what flights? Where would I go? And to get to SeaTac, and I found that within 2 hours there was a flight that was leaving and that had room on it. So I paid the big bucks, but I got on that or booked that flight, and I had to donate, of course, my gas canisters from my stove, and then and checked my bag. I wandered around the airport after that and had a hamburger, so that was so good. But eventually I got ready to get on the flight, and we boarded, and I was lucky enough to have a window seat, which was amazing, I thought, because I love the window seat, see where I've been and such. I think I've got some still pictures that I'll add to the end of this from that flight. Anyway, we got going, and I introduced myself to the people sitting next to me and told them my story and apologized for my unkempt appearance, which, I'd just come off the trail. I'd been hiking for a week without any shower or anything. So they understood. They asked me a few questions. But I noticed that partway through the flight, the woman sitting next to me got up and walked away. I figured, just using the restroom or something. But she never came back. She evidently found a seat away from that stinky hiker that she had to sit next to. So luckily the plane wasn't completely booked. So she was able to find another seat. Eventually we landed in SeaTac, and I collected my stuff. Keith picked me up where we're at the terminal, and drove me, which was great. Yeah, of course, I'd explained things to him, and he told me I was pretty stinky also. Yeah, but he did drive me and took me out to get a hamburger, which was very kind. Thank you so much, Keith. And then after that, he took me over to the ferry terminal. And so I hobbled up the ramp and got on the ferry. And on the other side, there was Linda. She picked me up, gave me a big hug, and I put my stuff in the back of the car. And she has a hard time driving at night, and by this time it's quite dark. So I ended up driving back to Hadlock at my home. And when I hobbled back up the front steps that you may have seen on my initial episode 1 video of this series, I could hear some barking, and I looked in the door, and there was Charlotte and Annie, just ecstatic. I had obviously surprised them that I was there all of a sudden. They had lost hope probably after having been gone an entire month. So my dogs were very happy to see me, and I got all kinds of puppy kisses and all of those things. So when I got back, that was, I believe, Friday evening or Saturday morning. Anyway, I kind of put my feet up and had some wonderful food. It was nice to have home cooked meals for a change, and then made it to the doctor's on Monday morning. Got there to our local express clinic. It's kind of like an urgent care, but at any rate, that's where I was. When I saw the doctor, they kind of looked and checked and prodded doctor stuff, asked questions, all of that, took x-rays. And the diagnosis was that I had not ruptured or torn my Achilles tendon, which I was worried about, and they were worried about too, because that's a whole different thing with healing. But I had strained it. Also, the x-rays showed there was nothing broken in my feet, which that was also good news. And I was told probably 2 weeks of healing with my feet up. They called it, I think they called it assertive relaxation. So I kind of go for that. That was fine. So that's what I did. And I kept my feet up and didn't do much at all other than eating. But after the 2 weeks were up, which they said it would probably be how long until I could start hiking again, I could still tell that things were hurting and I needed more time healing than just the 2 weeks. So I decided, hey, I could go visit my parents over in Spokane on the other side of the state and hang out with them just as easily while I am healing as anything else. And so that's what we did, and drove across state, which is to a lake cabin that's nearby and near where they live, and that's about 8 or 9 hour drive from here. So it was a bit of a journey. But anyway, we got there and helped them celebrate their 70th wedding anniversary. So it was some good times, but unfortunately there was a family issue that popped up while I was over there that definitely needed my attention. So that's what I did, is I stayed over there and helped out with that. And that ended up just kind of becoming an ongoing thing for a while. So to make a long story shorter, then I realized after a month of being over there that it was probably not in the cards to go back on trail this year like I had hoped and planned. So that was a hard decision. It was kind of emotional as well, because you kind of get this love of the trail life. And so at any rate, it was good. Actually, it turned out, if I think back on it, it turned out that it was really good that I had injured myself when I did and came back home, because otherwise it would have been much more difficult to attend to things and to help help out around here. So that's what where I'm at right now. It's actually past when my permit was going to end, which was officially October 1st for 2025. And what I'm hoping and planning on is to rejoin the trail where I left off in the spring of 2026 and joining the class of 2026, PCT class of 2026, of course, and continue my trek north and see how far I can get. With any luck, I could make it clear to the Canadian border, but we'll just have to see. I realize what is involved in it a little better now, and I know that it's not. There's many things that come up along the trail, in trail-wise as well as back home, and of course physically too. So, at any rate, that's the plan at the moment. So, if you're hiking the PCT in 2026, I definitely hope to see you. Well, just a few last thoughts. Hiking the Pacific Crest Trail is well, especially if you're attempting a through hike or doing a long distance section hike, it's something that's truly magical. It's hard to actually put into words because, it's entirely different than a more typical hike, even of a week or 2 weeks long, where you get to see some amazing scenery or make a certain destination. It's more than the camaraderie that you feel like the instant you're actually on the trail with other hikers, through hikers and long distance hikers. It's more than the physical and mental, pushing oneself that way. It's really more than the incredible sights that you see or just visualizing something that's completely different than you've seen before. It's really all of those things and more. It really, truly is an epic adventure that you'll remember for the rest of your life. You push yourself in ways that you internalize. And there is an inner journey that's a huge part of this as well. But you know what? The journey itself is as simple as putting one foot in front of the other, although you do have to push yourself mentally and physically. And it, again, is something that I myself will never, ever forget. It's become a part of me. And you know what? I just can't wait to get back out on the trail again. So I hope to see you there. Thanks for following along on this journey. And if you haven't, go back to episode 1 and see what it was all about. You'll at least get to know the desert. Bye for now.